Every person, regardless of his or her gender, whether a woman or a man, comes to this earth with some kind of tasks, and it would be cool to achieve aims. A person has enormous potential, and it is a big pleasure when you fulfill this potential.
Она была практически еще ребенком, школьницей, и часто рисовала.
She was a child, a schoolgirl, when she started drawing. And like all children, she very much doubted whether she could draw, whether she would become an artist. Well, of course, her parents, in my opinion, didn't approve particularly this hobby of hers. They believed that she could be interested in more important professions. Her mother is a strong economist. Her father is a miner. And therefore, the profession of an artist was considered non-serious one.
I have been drawing since childhood. I initially have mastered such skills. For as long as I can remember, I have been drawing. I was under 6 years old when I, like a child, was sitting and drawing. And I dreamed at that moment that I would become an artist. My nature was quite intractable at all. I was floating in my own thoughts and heading in the clouds. I know how to extract something positive from everything. Apparently, there was some kind of background, some kind of grey background, but I had to withdraw into myself and create something rosy. I remember clearly they were worried about me, who I would become, what would come of me, because they perceived me as probably like a wild Mowgli. So I was finishing school, and I needed to enter somewhere. I felt my mother's excitement, my excitement. At this moment, she understood that there is no option. My path is to consciously follow the path of an artist into art. And at that time, my uncle was influencer for me, Dospol Kasimov. He has been a role model for me from my early childhood. Probably when I turned 6 years old, I dreamed of being an artist, being under the influence of my uncle. He was my favorite uncle. Of course, this greatly influenced me. He then told my mother that if it is destined, then it is her responsibility to realize this path.
It seemed to me that she was a very talented child, and I told her mother that she needed to study, she needed to work, she needed to draw. I don't know if this had any effect. Rather, Aigerim's persistence played a role.
Всю учебу нахожусь под крылом дяди. Это достаточно сложно.
Throughout my studies, I was taken under my uncle's wing. It was a rather difficult time. My uncle was not such an understanding, gentle teacher. This is such a tough school, where there is a lot of criticism. For me, it was a little like going through the army. I had no understanding. I was completely unformed in any way. Yes, I had some kind of drawing skill, but I didn't have any personal vision and understanding at all.
Вначале ее работы были наивными по-детски, такими иллюстративными.
At the beginning, her works were naive and childish, so illustrative, so stating, one might say, each time she found her own style. In my opinion, so subtle style, such a psychological study of the human soul, a very subtle view of the world view of youth.
Очень тонкий взгляд на мир, на мироощущение молодежи. Века, журавле, наклон, навалажим, навалажим.
Он со мной возился. То есть я во всем с ним советовалась.
He always took care of me, that is, I consulted him on everything. And he gave me all these guidelines, everything that I do today and my husband does. You can say that he was also under his wing, because we started dating when it was the second year of our study and we spent most of our time with Dospel, and we absorbed it all, and like him set a high bar, high standards, learn very critical thinking, a very demanding attitude towards ourselves, and he laid the foundation of all that.
The first time I noticed her when she was my student, and especially I remember her graduation project, if you could see how amazing her graduation project was, she studied advertising design and she did such a social advertising project for our city. It was 7 large posters with absolutely no letters, and there was no text, but there were 7 of the best qualities of the authentic Kazakh people, and they were so clear without words. I then understood, well, what a real artist.
Для меня художник — это тот, кто открывает, да, свой мир какой-то.
For me, in general, an artist is a very deep person, and he has his own specific visions. And through his creativity, he conveys values to people, perhaps highlighting some things that he notices. Because all creative people are very observant. Maybe they see some things a little more deeply, a little more detailed. They are still philosophers. As they say, these are people without skin, and so it is, because in order to give out something touching, you must be very touching inside.
Трогающее, ты должен быть внутри сам очень трогательный, да?
В Aigerim есть такое редкое качество, наверное, у взрослых.
Aigerim has such a rare quality for an adult. It's more like a childlike spontaneity, which adults practically don't have. I think that every artist should have this somewhere deep, because when a child draws, he does not think about what he is drawing, for whom he is drawing, and why. This is what helps Aigerim. When she draws, she doesn't draw for someone, she doesn't draw to order, she draws what she wants to draw.
Она рисует то, что хочет рисовать она.
A modern good artist is one who combines both the abilities of a manager and of an artist. I know that Aigerim Karibayeva has a sister who is a producer for her, helps her, she performs producer's function. It is very important that the artist has an assistant who is involved in promotion of her works. Because the modern art process is developing as a business process, and if you don't know how to promote yourself as a brand, well, not yourself, but your creativity, your works from replicating and scaling them, then no one will know about you. She laughs and always says to me, "You are my boss," because I set some kind of deadlines for her all the time. I ask her all the time. I call her all the time. I keep everything under control all the time. Well, even I argue with the other managers who work with us. More, I treat them stricter than Aigerim, because Aigerim is not a conflicted person at all. Because Aigerim can always bypass all sharp corners, she can correctly convey her thoughts, she can say what she really feels, and everything can be resolved very quickly and easily. She very quickly realized that in our world, she needs to try to somehow learn how to present her art.
В чистом виде прожить искусством, конечно, это...
Living through art in its pure form is incredibly difficult, and what Aigerim does is a rare success, so to speak. Artists are considered such sloppy workers, but this is not so true. Art requires enormous self-discipline for a person to sit and draw there for 2. 3 hours, half a day, requires enormous self-discipline.
Нужна огромная самодисциплина.
When there were such variable, difficult times, when the world was losing stability, then the artist or a person in general acquires strength from the history of his people. He feels that he is not alone. He is not the first. There is a whole family behind him. Yes, a whole generation. And therefore modern, the trend popularizing the Kazakh national is now getting popular. It seems to be gaining momentum. It is developing. Few people work on it. And Aigerim Karibayeva was the first. She was a pioneer. Today, many people follow Aigerim and many people work in this ethno-style with this identity, but she is different from everyone because she is a real artist, because she always goes above and beyond the task.
Работы Aigerim несут культурный код. Заказов было в более чем 50
Aigerim's works carry a cultural code. There were orders from more than 50 countries around the world. And I want to say that foreigners, buyers from all over the world, are not only Kazakhs who moved there or live there. These are foreigners who have never been to Kazakhstan, who saw it, liked it, and buy it. And they have their own questions, their own vision, and they begin to understand our culture in these paintings.
и понимать нашу культуру в этих картинах.
Я всегда делала зарисовочки из жизни. То есть у меня были
I always made sketches from life. I had some pencil comics about myself, about some fictional stories. And I realized that this was probably some kind of my key, that I knew how to create some stories.
У нее вот эта аутентичность, которую...
She's authentic, and this quality is inherent to real artists. She understands authenticity very well, due to the richness of traditional culture. She loves it. And that's why she stylizes it. It doesn't look like it's not creepy, mothballs. It looks very relevant, very modern, and that's why here is the most striking image that even the chocolate factory replicated for a reason.
философия вот моего сегодня
The
творчества.
philosophy of my work is to disperse creativity like pollen, probably through art souvenirs. Although as a classical artist, I'm also working on this now, because I want to develop as a classical artist, because I also want to paint. I want to make an exhibition. I don't choose just one thing for myself. I want to make both monumental and modern. That is, I don't set boundaries for myself. It could be a train. It could be a mural. It could be chocolate. It could be everything. Probably the strongest feature of my character is that I still see something positive in any situation. It is very important for me to believe in something good, something very good.
Важно верить в хорошее, во что-то в очень хорошее.
Her images are life-affirming, joyful, optimistic, and so bright. She does not have a single image of something sad, dramatic, but it does mean that her position as an artist is to focus not on the negative, but on the positive, not on what you can't do, but on hope, on faith in oneself, in our world in general, on love for this world and for people. This is the most important meaning of art that I see in Aigerim Karibayeva. Each person finds himself in her too. Each person sees some kind of image. But first of all, Aigerim draws about herself and about what she feels at the moment.
Вообще я очень похожа со своим зрителем, да, по ценностям.
In general, I am very similar to my viewer. In terms of values, we all have the same worldview. I am a very happy, realized person. Because my creativity is needed. People come for it, they order it, and I receive enormous emotional support and feedback. Everything that I am today, I do. I know who I do for, and I know that it will always find a response.
Я знаю, что это найдет как бы всегда отклик. Когда вот иногда сюда люди приходят,
When people come here and they can cry to us, at that moment we cry too. And when my husband and I are alone, I tell him, you see, this is the greatest happiness.
самое большое счастье, да?
Так как и я, и Aigerim творческие люди, творческие личности, у нас такой дома всегда между нами, так скажем, царит всегда гармония.
Since Aigerim and I are creative people, creative personalities, there is always harmony, tandem, and mutual understanding between us. We understand each other well. Often people confuse us. Our styles are similar, as I said. We spend time together day and night. We probably unwittingly spy on each other's best moments, take on ourselves, and become similar. I studied at a classical school. I studied on art for 15 years. I have more colors, different tones. For Aigerim, for example, the theme of the plots is mainly love, romance, flight, warmth, mother, children. This is what distinguishes us from each other.
Сюжеты в основном любовь, романтика, полет, теплота, мама, дети, вот такие сюжеты. Вот этим нас как-то отличает друг от друга.
Сейчас у нас уже сложился такой прям тандем, когда мы...
Now we are tandem, we understand each other very well. And we have mutual understanding because we do all this like a big ship. We were able to find all the points of contact, bypass all the sharp corners. But it is also impossible if we have not controversial issues, some conflicts, after all. This is not a fairy tale, we are two creative people.
Два творческих человека — это еще ого-го.
Aigerim не только как супруга, она как...
Aigerim is not only a wife, she is my companion. Comrade in arms, like-minded person. At the same time, we are two separate individuals, two particles, but as one we are. We have the same thoughts and dreams. It seems there is great strength in this union.
Наверное, мой самый главный
My most important message lesson: no one has to believe in you. You have to believe in yourself. That is, it's normal if people don't believe in you and don't support you the way you want. It is very important to strengthen your own inner core. Then the whole world will be different. There will be a different projection. Human capabilities are not limited by anything, especially for women. When we have a lot of vectors, 1,000 tasks, our brain is working so that we can think about everything in the world at once. And this time is enough for this whole life.
Aigerim is such a vivid example of a steppe Kazakh woman in modern times because she was able to combine some traditional aspects of family ties, kinship, and so on. And at the same time, she shows that any Kazakh woman can be independent, she can do business, she can be an artist, she can be known around the world, she can do cool collaboration projects, and so on.
A steppe woman is completely free, independent. She had equal rights. She did a huge part of the work, carried a huge part of everyday life. But it's about freedom, about independence. It seems we can do anything. We are very strong. I don't know where else there are such strong, beautiful, intelligent, beautiful, educated women who can bear great responsibility, who are at the same time loyal, very soft, very wise. She creates the world around herself, and this world is around her.
Вокруг нее и есть этот мир.